Welcome to the InnovA podcast, a place for auction business owners who have built successful operations but now want to scale their companies and leave a lasting legacy in the industry. If you want more growth, less grind, you've come to the right place.
Hello and welcome back to the InnovA podcast. I have with me, as always, the illustrious Jodi Amaya. Thank you for joining me today. We have a special short episode today. What we wanted to do was talk about the ROI of brand independence. And what we mean by that is we want to provide a simple case study, or let's say an ROI calculation, based on the themes that we've been covering over the last few episodes to make the point clear. What is the business value of providing auctions where a lot of your bidders are coming from the marketplace? There are lots of ramifications for this, but we wanted to make a really simple case study. And so, Jodi, you have created this lovely graphic that we'll share in the show notes, and I'll describe for our audio listeners, but you'll see this on YouTube. Please go follow us on YouTube. It's a lovely show. Where we have a graphic here that outlines the calculations that you make when you're talking with customers and you're trying to explain the value of your solution, but generally the solution or the marketplace problem for auction owners, if you call it that. We talked about there are a lot of benefits that are coming from the marketplace, but there are some downsides, and that's kind of what we're talking about today. Now, to explain this graphic, what we have here is an example auction where you have $1 million sold on this auction. And then there are some fees that are related to this auction of selling $1 million worth of inventory.
Right.
So, Jodi, I'll let you walk us through some of these lines to help explain how you came up with these numbers and what they might mean for auction owners who are thinking about this issue in their business and the change in the trajectory of their business over time if they can understand this business value.
Okay. Thank you. So it's important, I think, to recognize cost in your business. And one of the things that we can measure is what you're spending with the marketplace. So you could look at, let's say that you have an auction coming up this month, and you think it's going to be about $1 million in sales. And so you agree to pay your marketplace provider or maybe multiple marketplace providers an advertisement for that event. And then you've got outside marketing agencies, maybe your email campaigns, your social media, your digital advertisements, your hand brochures, if you still mail in the mail. Right. And let's just say that cost right now, the event advertisement for the marketplace is $5,000. The outside advertising is $20,000. You plug in your own numbers here. But then let's say you have that event and it's $1 million in sales, and 75% of those sales come from the marketplace, because you don't have a white label and you're solely dependent upon that marketplace. So 75% of 1 million times 2%, if that's what the marketplace is charging you, is $15,000. So what if? We'll get to the what if in a minute because I'm already excited. I'm already going there. Yeah. But let's say 75% of winning bidders, that total spend was $40,000. And that equals $533 per buyer. But what if you were able to convert those bidders to your white label? And let's say even just 30% are repeat buyers. With not a lot of work. And InnovA can show you how to do it. We'll even do a lot of it for you. Just by making some simple changes, you can convert these buyers. And let's say if that was your 30%, $14,000 per event. And let's say you have a monthly event, $144,000 a year, just for 30%. I mean, that sounds like a good number to me and a good ROI. I could take another $144,000.
That's right.
Just by just a couple of little things.
That's right. A couple of little changes, and you're talking about over $100,000 in savings per year, which adds up. And we all know the value of compound interest.
And I've been doing it with my customers, and that's why they're willing to speak on my behalf.
Yes, that's right. These are real numbers. This is not something you're making up. These are real numbers. These are case studies that you've actually got where you could point to legitimate customers that have saved a tremendous amount of money every year by thinking differently about the way they run their auctions.
This is actually a fraction of what my customers did, just because I was rounding it out to $1 million so that somebody else could take it and go, okay, 3 million, okay, 5 million, or $500,000, that they could easily see what their numbers would be. My customers have had a significantly more savings and results than this, but I wanted to have an easy, shareable use case.
No, this is great. This is great. I think what's interesting, we were talking about before we started recording that it's not just this number annually in costs. There are a lot of other things to be considering when you're running a business. You're trying to attract buyers. You're trying to build, loyalty, build a brand, build a business long term that are way more important than this ROI calculation.
Right.
This is where you get into things like customer acquisition cost. If you build loyalty in your audience that wants to keep coming back year after year, auction after auction. There's you extend the customer lifetime value of that particular buyer because they come back.
And that 533 cost goes down and down and down.
That's right. That's right. But also, you mentioned this, and I wanted to hit on this really quick, is you were talking about how there's also like brand equity. If people have a good or bad experience with your brand, that starts to add up, not only in network effects and marketing, and talking to other people, but just that compounds over and over and over again. Tell me more about that.
Well, and sometimes those are the dollars that we cannot track. But when you have a customer experience that you have your inventory experience, that's why your buyer shows up from the beginning. Your buyer didn't come to you because they love you. They didn't come to you because the marketplace insisted that they did. They came to you because they were interested in something that you have for sale. Now, they may become a loyal buyer once they have good service. They won't just stay with you because you have something for sale. There's too many other people out there that are selling the same thing that you are. So if you have a good buyer experience from beginning to end, which is hard for you to control whenever you're utilizing a marketplace. And I'm not saying leave the marketplace. I'm just saying if I made a purchase for, let's just say this cute sweater, I bought it off of Amazon, but I don't know from who. I have no idea from who.
That's right.
But I just bought it off of Amazon. And if Amazon did me dirty and I said I never want to see Amazon again, then that seller is impacted. But that seller may be a really nice person. Yeah. So that is the cost that we can't track. But if you have those buyers in-house in your white label, and you know that they have good service and that your descriptions are correct and that you've communicated with them, you're building that loyalty to your customer, and they will shop with you instead of your neighbor who has the same equipment for sale because of the way that you're running your business.
That's right. You start to control. You start to have a business that say like, okay, I'm building this thing that is independent. It can leave a legacy. It can start to drive real value to people over and over and over again. That is independent from other vendors.
And that's where I
platforms.
came up with brand independence. It was just something, it wasn't like a creative marketing thing. It was it's something that a word that kept coming up was to be independent, because I remember I used Marketplace, many of them for 17 years. But I felt and feared that I was dependent and that if I pulled away from them, that I would lose all my buyers. And I think a lot of people still believe that. But what I've found is quite the opposite, is that I should have not flattered myself. My buyers were not interested in me. They weren't interested so much in the marketplace. But they're interested in the inventory and quality and consistent customer service. So whenever I started doing these conversions for myself, but also for customers, it's been really painless. And it was something that I feared forever. And then it hasn't been that hard.
Amazing. And you get immediate bottom line savings.
And gratification. Yes. You get that savings. You can calculate it. You can go, okay, I'm on the right path. Even if I did 10%, 20%, 30%. Oh, okay. Well, now I know that I can do 75% if I want,
That's right.
I can get there.
You can get there in one auction event, or you can get there over years. That adds up either way. You can do it once or 100 times, and it starts to really add up.
Depending upon how much effort you want to put into it. But yes, the easy button for my customers has been around 30% to where it's just the users are self-serving. They're just going and signing into the white label. And the users love the services of the white label, being able to see their own invoices, pay from there. And it's helping the office staff. So all of those things are dollars that we're not even adding into this equation. It's cutting down number of phone calls. There's a whole thing that is happening to be able to serve your customers from beginning to end that really does save you more than this $533. Right. But this is something we can easily calculate.
Even including the data associated with those customers, the ability to remarket to them, the ability to actually build an asset value. That's another thing that we talked about in another episode. The asset value of your customer list. Yeah.
If you're not doing it, I don't know why, but I would love to know why.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. But
please write to Jodi. If you're not doing this, write to Jodi. She wants to talk to you. Yes. Okay, so to sum up here in the last minute or so, I love this fast-paced episode this has been. So $1 million sold on this auction. 75% of those winning bidders came from the marketplace. You send a 2% fee of those bidders, $15,000 to the marketplace. It's just a fee for doing business. You have $5,000 of marketplace event advertising, and then let's say in general, on average for something of this size, $20,000 or so of additional advertising and marketing around that, totaling $40,000. If you break that down to 75 winning bidders, it's a little over $500 per buyer, and that's for one event at $1 million. If you do many more events and many larger events, that number starts to add up a lot.
It does.
All right. Is that a fair summary? Anything else people should know about this?
No, that is it. It's the math is that simple. Anybody can do this, but if you want a partner that will make sure that this happens for you, I think that's InnovA. Of course, I have to pitch for us, but I have not trademarked this. Maybe I should, but it's just, I really do believe in the brand independence, and I'm excited to help people do it.
Amazing. Okay, I love this quick episode to really illustrate this point. Like I said, we've been talking about a lot of these themes over time, but for this episode, number 6, I believe, this is the calculation we keep talking about and going back to. So stay tuned for more in future episodes. Jodi, thank you for joining me, and we will talk again soon.
Thank you, Brandon. Okay, bye.